So pumped to be here, Steve. And it's awesome to see everybody. Peggy, Colleen, Jeffrey, Ray. Man, this is amazing. I'm super pumped to be hanging out with you and your community.
That's Sean Cannell. He is the author of YouTube Secrets, the ultimate guide to growing your following and making money as a video influencer. Steve Dotto here. How the heck you doing this fine day? And welcome to our Webinar Wednesday recap. Each week here at Dotto Tech, we host a weekly live tutorial webinar on Wednesdays, and then I post a recap, a kind of a Reader's Digest condensed version of the webinar so that you can fast forward your way through the most important elements of each week's webinar. Now, if you're interested in joining us live for Webinar Wednesday, I encourage you. The webinars are great. We always make sure there's plenty of information and we answer all of the questions that we can during the webinar. There will be links below so that you can register. We also send out a full replay so you can watch the entire webinar. In this case here, this webinar was an hour and a half. So this, what you're watching right now, is our recap. We condense it down to as close to 10 minutes as we can, making sure we cover all of the different highlights. As I said, this week, it's Sean Cannell and his book, YouTube Secrets, which is an excellent read if you're interested in becoming a video influencer and building a YouTube channel. There will be links below to the book as well. So now I encourage you to sit back, relax, and enjoy our Webinar Wednesday recap on YouTube Secrets. Talk to me about the 7 C's.
Yes. And so the 7 C's of YouTube success are the elements that every successful YouTube channel are going to have, and really the stages of your YouTube journey. Going process. It's not linear, it's a circle. And so it starts with courage, and then it goes into clarity. You want to start with the end in mind. Ultimately, you set up your channel. Then you have to actually put content on your channel. Then you want to cultivate community. That's a big difference of YouTube and, say, traditional media. And of course, even like what we're doing right now, we can see John and Jeffrey and Bobby and Vance, and we can have a connection here, and that's community. Then eventually cash. How do we monetize our content on YouTube? And then finally, consistency. How do we create smart systems for creating sustained success? Because people are busy, right? You got a business to run, you've got family, you might have kids, you might have whatever's happening in life. You can't spend 60, 80 hours a week working on this, right? You want to figure out, how can I maybe build a side project, create a little extra income with a few extra hours a week? And so smart systems can support that to make YouTube sustainable. So that's kind of an overview of the C's, but we could definitely dive into each one.
Yeah, let's start with the beginning, which is courage, where people start. And and I think you could add, there's other C's we could add. Courage and commitment are the one is believing in yourself and believing in your content. And for me, YouTube was a total epiphany. I want to just kind of share my story a little bit of the fact that I came from the television world, and for me, when I started and when I launched the YouTube channel, the epiphany moment that I had was when I realized that for the first time in my life, in 20 years of broadcasting, the audience was what was important. The people who watched my show would be the people who ultimately would determine whether or not we were successful or not, financially as well as artistically, as opposed to having to suck up to network executives, advertising executives, ad agency hacks, and all of the different people who stood between me and the community, between me and the audience. And for me, that was it was the wind under my wings. And it absolutely drove me into a passion towards YouTube, which gave me the energy that I was going to need to rebuild myself in this online space. So talk about, for me, it was easy. For somebody like me, it was easy. I saw it. I went, yeah, I can do this. Where do you think they need that boost of confidence to have the courage to step forward?
Yeah, the reason we started with courage is because, and I love your story, it's actually a little bit similar to mine. In the event that I got started in church video production, I was volunteering in my youth ministry, but I found myself on camera every week over and over. And I was terrified. The content was terrible. I like to say your first videos are your worst videos. And so in 2003, I'm shooting these weekly video announcements for my youth group, but I was getting that confidence. I was getting those jitters out, that deer in the headlights look out. And so the reason we start with courage, ultimately, Nike said it best, you just have to do it. I think what people think is they think that there's a level of natural born talent or DNA to be a public speaker or something. And that is true to some extent. But the reality is it's terrifying no matter what you're doing to stand up in front of people or to get in front of a camera. And so courage is not the absence of fear. It's moving forward despite the fear that's present. It's deciding that I'm going to do it anyways. And so you got to punch fear in the face.
You got that passion and you got that message. So let's talk about clarity for a second.
Yeah, clarity is all about starting with the end in mind, which is really defining, you know, what is it you ultimately want to accomplish on YouTube? Do you actually just want to maybe express your hobby and experiment for a while? Define that, own that. Or do you want to actually increase, you know, maybe business results? So maybe you're trying to generate leads and awareness to a website or whatever it is. Do you want to be a social media influencer of some point, you know, a thought leader, whatever it is, like thinking really about what your goal might be, even if it's loosely defined, having a target is going to be so much more effective than just being aimless in your approach. And there's two big questions you want to answer. The first one is, who is your target audience? You know, one of the biggest mistakes I've seen people make on YouTube is kind of trying to reach everybody. They just think, let me just kind of throw my content out there. We'll see who it resonates with. And if you try and reach everybody, though, you end up reaching nobody.
I want to get Sean on the show. All right, let's get into that consistency that you're talking about. Oh, by the way, they're putting the pressure on us. I'm getting people posting things like, my reputation's on the line because they're buying the book, so it better be good, Sean.
Yes. I hope it's good. No, I mean, you've checked it out. No, I definitely think that the value will far exceed the investment for everybody that wants to check the book out.
Indeed.
Yeah. And so the next C is channel, actually, for us. Right now, this is the time to create a home for our content. And I think that with our channel, just like your home, it's like if you're going to have people over, right? Maybe you're going to have a party, you're going to have some guests over. If it's just you and your partner, your spouse, whoever, you might not really clean up. Like, it's just, we're going to watch some Netflix. We're going to have some takeout. We might not do the dishes, you know, for whatever, because we just are going to relax. But if we're having people over, what do? Especially if it's a fancy occasion. Maybe we put some decorations out. We think about that first impression as they walk in, you know, we light a candle, whatever it is. Your channel is a home for your content and for your guests. So the question is, what impression is your channel making? When someone lands on it, what are they experiencing? What are they seeing? And you only get really one chance to make a first impression. See, now is content. And to be honest, this is where everything rests. I think that these first few C's are foundational because you got to get started. You kind of want to know where you're going. You have to open up a channel. But at the end of the day, you're going to win or lose on YouTube based on content. You've got to upload videos. And in social media and online in general, we've learned that content is king. Like that is kind of the economy that we're in. It's this content economy where, just like right now, everything you put out, and I love your stuff and how deep you go in those things, like really showing web tools and really helping people. Watch if your content, though, was not valuable, or if it wasn't easy to follow, or if it was confusing, whatever it is, then it wouldn't work, right? So thinking about how to make your content, and that is the really key word, is just value. How are you going to deliver value? And it doesn't have to be valuable to everybody, but it does have to be valuable to somebody.
All right, let's jump into cash. How do you make money off this stuff?
Cash. I love it. So in the book, we have 10 ways to make money on YouTube, and I'd love to tackle as many as we can get to. The first one to hit would be YouTube ads. Like, just right off the top, the fact that is really cool about YouTube, and it's been the leading platform for this, is that YouTube lets you monetize your video views once you are approved in there. There's a lot of different things. And I know you have a lot of valuable training around affiliate marketing, because it's not just Amazon. It's almost every different program out there. It's a lot of different software, even live events, different people's digital products. There's a lot of different things you can be an affiliate for. And the reason I love it is because it's a great way to start. You have not created your own product. You're really just kind of a middleman or middlewoman recommending things that you love, you've tried, you've tested. And you could put out valuable content around it and actually make a good bit of side income, or it could even be your main income. Originally, that's how I was able to quit my job and do this full time, was just YouTube, not even the AdSense, just YouTube and affiliate marketing.
Sean, as you read through this content, recognize that there's not two content creators that I know that do their business the same way. When we get together, it's so fascinating to have our eyes open to how our other colleagues do their business and run their business. And that's one of the nice things about the YouTube creator community is they do share quite openly. I think because we each have a unique take and we've had to kind of MacGyver our own system together from understanding the strengths and weaknesses of others and figuring out what we can do ourselves. So there's no blueprint. There is, it's far more a philosophy, I would say, that you have to recognize. By the way, the best typo ever was somebody was recommending for YouTube analytics, checking out Boob Buddy. Eric, you make me laugh. He's talking, of course, about Tube Buddy, but that is my favorite typo that we've had this week. All right, which is consistency. How important consistency is. And if there's one thing that we hear, the same advice from every successful YouTube content creator, it's the exact same advice, yet it seems to be so hard to get through to people. Consistency. Let's talk about that.
Let's talk about it. The quote at the beginning of that chapter is Rome wasn't built in a day. And I think as we talk about consistency, the first thing to wrap our head around is actually a mindset. There's actually a verse in the Bible that says, you know, count the cost of building the tower before you go to work. So something about sitting at the beginning and saying, look, I want to audit the fact that this is going to take a level of resilience, a level of grit, a level of commitment, and a commitment to the long haul. YouTube is a marathon and not a sprint. It's different even than other platforms that sometimes offer a little bit quicker results, like maybe going live on Facebook. You might even, you're like, wow, my live on Facebook got a couple hundred views. I put a video on YouTube, but it's like a ghost town. I got 3 views. Well, the algorithm isn't, activated. It takes more time to build momentum there. YouTube definitely is heavier on the front end, but it pays much more dividends on the back end. A good example is probably your channel. You probably have realized that even early on, you're posting maybe more videos than you're, if you will, being rewarded for. You're posting videos that you didn't really have the momentum, but now because you have such a library of videos, there's people watching your videos probably that you shot 2, 3, 4 years ago. So in a way, the videos that you've put on YouTube work for you when you're not working.
Yes.
You've in a way multiplied yourself. In fact, these are like Dottotech robots. You have cloned yourself. Yeah. You are right now having these conversations on YouTube, even while we're here live on all these videos that are being watched, but it took time to build that library of videos. So number one in consistency is kind of just committing in our mind, like counting the cost first, and not saying that it's going to have to be overwhelming. Your pace in a marathon is much different than a sprint. So slow and steady wins. Pace yourself. And I think about committing to a sustainable schedule, which would be once a week, I think would be a good target. So you're showing up for your audience regularly. And we want to offer here, in addition to mindset, let's make it practical, is then putting a system together so that you could create that consistent content and keep showing up without it taking your life over. And in my opinion, that is accomplished through batching.
And there you have a few of the highlights from this week's webinar Wednesday. I encourage you to look in the description below and join us live for the next webinar Wednesday. If you have not yet done so, please subscribe to this channel and make sure to ring the notification bell so that you hear when we upload any new videos here at Dottotech. Till next time, I'm Steve Dotto. Have fun storming a castle.